Hi everybody, Zach here from Absolutely Disney, and I went to Walt Disney World for 9 days during the COVID-19 global pandemic. The Walt Disney Company has been getting a lot of criticism for reopening their Disney World Orlando parks, and I'm here to tell you about my experience there and just what it's like in the parks currently. In terms of COVID-19, from what I've seen from other videos at other theme parks, Disney's handling the current circumstances better than pretty much anybody. This is everything Disney is doing to keep their guests safe. Masks are required at all times besides eating and or drinking. Social distancing and proper mask wearing is enforced by all cast members. There are social distancing markers at every possible thing that could encourage a line or a gathering, from ride queues to photo pass lines. There are hand sanitizer dispensers at the start, middle, and end of every ride queue, at every ride exit, at the entrance and exit of every store, at every vendor that serves food and or drinks, and at random points around the park as well. Each store has a limited capacity. There are dedicated entrances and exits to every store so that traffic doesn't go both ways. And these one direction exits are also enforced by cast members working in those stores. Mobile ordering for food is highly encouraged and sometimes required to minimize lines. Rides are socially distanced. For example, they'll do 2 parties at very most per boat on Splash Mountain, and they'll do 1 party max per cockpit on Smuggler's Run. So single riders will have their own Millennium Falcon to fly. All rides are on a scheduled sanitization schedule, so after a certain amount of time, each ride will be fully sanitized, and the ride will be ran through once to let the chemicals soak in. All cast members are required to wear a mask, and I never really saw one without their mask on properly. Cast members who are forced to be closer to guests, such as queue managers, the ones that will tell you which number to stand on to load a ride, also required to wear face shields on top of their masks. Transportation is socially distanced. Buses have set sections for each party and dividers to separate those sections. On the monorail, regardless of size, parties will get their own monorail section. Each party gets their own Skyliner, and you currently don't need to scan your fingerprint to get into a park. As long as I was doing what I needed to do to socially distance and sanitize, I personally felt particularly safe in terms of COVID-19. For the most part, cast members are doing a good enough job to make sure that you will be safe if you're doing your part. Of course, I say for the most part, because as expected, not everything is perfect. In the ride queues, there are no cast members. Without cast members, there's no one to enforce proper mask wearing and social distancing. So Disney is really trusting all guests to follow the rules and regulations by themselves. And also, as expected, not everyone has the integrity to do this and are unfortunately willing to put everyone else in danger if no one is watching. And of course, this happens outside of queues as well, but it's just where I noticed it the most. So having more cast members throughout the park, and especially throughout ride queues, is something I would highly recommend for the Walt Disney Company. It's also worth saying that this is all a work in progress and is subject to change. For example, around my 6th day in the parks, Disney implemented a brand new rule that all food and drink cannot be consumed while walking. It must be consumed while stopped on the side of a walkway and socially distanced from others around you. So these rules and regulations aren't set in stone. It's a completely adaptive system, and Disney is learning as much as possible as they go. Now, outside of COVID-19, how does the park feel compared to a normal day? Well, for one, the parks were absolutely empty. The most popular and newest attractions were at very minimal waits. As an annual pass holder, they were definitely at the lowest that I've ever seen them and will probably ever see them again. My days at the Magic Kingdom, the highest I saw the Space Mountain wait at was 15 minutes, while Splash, Big Thunder, and Seven Dwarfs stayed around 25 my whole trip. At Epcot, Test Track was around 20 to 25, and Frozen Ever After was a consistent 30-minute wait. At Animal Kingdom, Flight of Passage, yes, that Flight of Passage was at a 5 to 10 minute wait the entire day. At Hollywood Studios, I walked onto Smuggler's Run, Tower of Terror, and Rock and Roller Coaster multiple times. And at the most, I waited 20 minutes for Mickey's Runaway Railway, the newest attraction in all of Disney World, which now since I've rode it, I will be putting up a review soon. So in terms of wait times, this was by far my best experience at the parks. I don't think it'll ever be like this again. But if you're a consistent guest at Walt Disney World, or if you know Walt Disney World at all, you know that the rides don't completely make the parks. As said earlier, mobile ordering for counter service locations is very encouraged and sometimes required. This isn't a problem for me, as I usually mobile order whenever I eat at a counter service restaurant at the parks. But I noticed some people did not even know of the My Disney Experience app. There are a lot less snack stands and counter service locations open than usual. The counter service locations that were open that I ate at included Pizza Rizzo, Flame Tree Barbecue, Ronto's Roasters, Pecos Bill, Cosmic Rays, and I got a Dole Whip at Aloha Isle. So a lot of the staples are still open. Notable locations that were not open though include Casey's Corner, Columbia Harbor House, ABC Commissary, and Pizza Safari. There are no full-on scheduled parades currently. There's no live actor shows because the Actors Guild will understandably not allow their actors to perform in the current conditions. And there's no beloved firework or River of Light shows, as all of these things would risk the spread of COVID-19. So besides in terms of wait times, it's safe to say this will not be your best Walt Disney World experience. You have to remember, Disney has been losing money these past 4 months. A lot of money. And they're probably still losing money having the parks at current capacities. Cast members are spread very thin throughout property, so customer service is not going to be as great as usual. You may wait longer than usual for a bus, even with the very sparse capacity. So if you are coming to Disney World, I would suggest that you please give Disney a break, especially their cast members. They're losing money so that you can have a good time. They're trying their hardest to put some of that Disney magic back in your life in a very, very hard time. Should you go? Well, first of all, it all comes down to personal judgment whether or not you think you will be safe. Then it comes down to a number of different factors. If this will be your first trip, I probably would not recommend visiting. I'd hold off. It's not the traditional Walt Disney World experience. I would really only recommend visiting if you've been going for years. If you truly just love being at Walt Disney World like I do. If you haven't been going for years, I'd probably pass on a Disney vacation for a while, until everything's hopefully back to normal. Well, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I can try to answer them as best as possible. I'd appreciate if you'd like the video and subscribe for more Disney content. This has been Zach from Absolutely Disney.